Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I am Mr. Vozly, and again, we have James, Tin Man.
Good afternoon.
And KMax.
Happy to be here as always.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by the 2016 South Korean movie Train to Busan, directed by, and as always, we apologize in advance for any mispronunciations of people's names, culture, etc. Directed by Yeon Sang-ho. The film mostly takes place on a KTX from Seoul to Busan as a zombie apocalypse suddenly breaks out in the country and threatens the safety of the passengers. I've seen this movie before, but it's pretty cool to be able to watch this movie with the two of you together and with it being your first time watching the movie. So, first impressions. I know it's been a few days since we've watched it, but Tin Man, first impressions.
First impressions, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a good time watching it. I was a really, really big zombie fan growing up. Zombies really seemed to hit their stride, like right when I was old enough to go to movies and was reading the Zombie Survival Guide and World War Z and The Walking Dead, the comics when they were still coming out. So it was, my first thought was, what are they doing that's already been done? Or how can they make, how are they going to make a good zombie movie? What element are they going to add or twist or add to it that hasn't already been done? And to be fair, it felt fresh. You know, it felt like a nice take on it. They didn't spend too much time. And, you know, it's a big thing when they're like, oh, did they say the word zombie? And it was whatever. Didn't even brush past it. You were more worried about the characters, their survival, the movements in their story arcs, more than you were about the zombies. I mean, they were a factor, of course. They're trapped on a train, but I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I think pace is an important part of it too, because even if you had questions, no time to look into them. You got to keep moving, keep registering whatever is on the screen. Any
lull in the story, it seemed to lend itself over to more character development, other things that you were interested in the story. That was the only lulls they were having, was either a plot or a plan to move around them, to save whoever they needed to, or added to the characters' backstories. So it felt full. Mm-hmm. It didn't let up. It didn't drag out in certain spots. Like it was a well-paced movie. Yeah, I would say that.
All right, KMax. First impressions.
I found myself looking at you guys several times during the movie to say, holy cats, this is good. Now, again, it's because it's a zombie movie. I'm a huge fan of zombie movies. The Walking Dead was my favorite series for seasons, many seasons. And the whole idea of it is I was definitely caught up in it. World War Z, the book, and things like that, they get my attention in a hurry. And I'm always interested, are they slow zombies, creeping death, or is it fast, overwhelming zombies? And that's what I was looking for at first. I'm like, okay, what kind of zombies are they? And that's answered pretty quickly. But I found myself looking at you guys like saying, holy cats. The bells that were going off in my head at least were, this is a lot more than your basic zombie movie that I was looking forward to. First of all, I remember when we saw the little sneak peek, I told you, whoa, it's a zombie movie, huh? Because
right.
The idea was fatherhood and things like that. And I thought, a zombie movie, cool. And then watching it, I was so pleasantly surprised that it had so much, the pacing, like you said, was great. And the characters had enough depth that I cared about them. And the conflict and the little tiny conflicts in between the major conflict were interesting. and they held my attention. And then I was thinking to myself, this is a darn good movie. This isn't a darn good zombie movie. This isn't a darn good drama, and it's not a darn good comedy, but it had all those elements. There were parts of all that in there.
Mm-hmm.
So hip shot reaction, very good. Pleasantly surprised.
Now, yeah, you kind of touched on it with, I picked this movie, one of our movies that we're going to watch to critique fatherhood. So did that kind of pop into your heads as you were watching it as well? Like, did we circle back to that at all watching it, or was the pace too quick to really even connect that back to?
No doubt. I think early on it did. Right. I thought early on with the little kiddo and then the business dad, and he's just too busy, and even asking his assistant, "What are the kids like? Do you know what kids like? Pick me up one of those."
Right.
And just some of the early stuff made you think, okay, this guy is a very successful. Work first, and I'll have time later to play with my kid and be a parent. And in my head, it set it up right away.
Yeah. It took me a little bit longer, I think, because I wasn't sure culturally if that was supposed to be more of an attack against him or less of a punch.
Oh, I got you.
Because
because
it's in Korean. It's all in Korean, and he seems so well-to-do, well put together, nice office. Seems to have everything very first class, and that's what my thought too was like. Oh, he's putting his family on the back burner, but I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel about that. Like, it's just an element of the story. I don't know if I have feelings about it one way or another just yet. And then only later on did it show him in contrast with the other guy, with the other soon-to-be father. Then I was like, okay, that makes more sense. Or the mom, when his mom was like, she's been practicing this song for you and you weren't there. Mm-hmm. And he has to watch it on the screen, not actually see her sing it. If he ever sees her sing it. When all those elements start coming into play, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he's garbage at being a dad.
Right. I asked you to focus on certain things. Sacrifice was one of them, because we had kind of talked about it last episode with a lot of movies. When they talk about fatherhood, it's about sacrifice. It's about this big, giant gesture. And I actually think this movie dealt with it in a better way than other movies have, with the idea of sacrifice as it being a positive thing. And it could just be cultural. I have no experience with South Korean culture or what the expectation of a father is towards his children or his family. The idea of sacrifice was definitely present in there. What do you guys think of that? Because like I said, we discussed it a little bit last week in a negative sense, where it was like, oh, that's all fathers have to offer is this big gesture of, oh, let's sacrifice ourselves so my family can move forward. Did you guys have any lingering thoughts of that, seeing the end of this movie?
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert. The main character, if I can say his name correctly.
For any listeners, we spent, I don't know, well, the other two guys spent about half hour trying to make sure we pronounce these people's names.
Phonetically write their names
correctly.
Saku.
All I could do is apologize in advance.
So the main father, Saku, I guess. Okay. But yeah, we were kind of talking bad about how they have characters in movies where the father shows up at the end just to sacrifice himself. Where it's like, oh, you couldn't be a good father for any portion of it. Just that's your contribution is to disappear.
Yeah, right. Like you were gone forever, and came back just to go again forever.
Forever to not have the possibility of coming back.
Right.
That's great. Where this one, I feel like he actually had to learn the lesson through all of this. Had to see the other father. Had to see other people putting others in front of themselves first. Safety wise, like where you're at risk so much to try to get to that. And you could tell he does not want to be that guy. He even tries to sneak away. There's times where he calls a buddy that he knows to go meet on the side so that the other people can't get in there. He's like, is there a little more exclusive place that I can get into where I don't have to be with the crowds? Mm-hmm. and you can still see his like almost selfishness, and then that kind of get whittled away at all that they have to go through, and in the end, he doesn't want to sacrifice himself, but he has to kind of fight this one guy who's left on the train in order to let his family survive. So I think his daughter gets to see him go through that journey. At least see him go through all of that to see him, have to get put through the mill to become the father he was supposed to be from the beginning.
Right. KMax.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You ended up having the grand gesture, but you got to see the journey, right? You got to see him transform. I like the role of fatherhood and the sacrifice more so that the young dad, the dad soon to be made. It was kind of it was upstaged definitely by the lead man, but it was no less dramatic and no less moving. It moved me more, holding that door and knowing what was happening, and then also
The whole door.
yeah, right. And then also getting bit and knowing what was going to befall him, giving the instructions, and still holding with every last bit of humanity he had, holding onto the door and giving instructions about what needs to happen. How to be taken care of my unborn kid.
Mm-hmm. And names him too.
Yeah. It's like, and I have a name, and it's like there's all this stuff there. But I think I think it talks about maybe not having sacrifice, but you just have two dads learning lessons at different paces. He's still learning lessons also. You could tell his girl was yelling at him a lot throughout the movie and teaching him lessons, and he was learning. And I think sometimes, maybe we didn't extend this grace to Haley from the Florida Project.
She don't deserve it.
Yeah, right. But like, I find myself giving grace to dads because being a dad, we're all figuring it out, man. No one's got it down, and these two dads, and that at least the two that I'm talking about, they're at different parts of their journey and figuring it out. But I'm not so sure the lead guy was going to ever figure it out unless this crisis happened.
Right.
Yeah,
because he was getting ready to kind of, she wants to spend her birthday with her mom. All right, go ahead. I'll be by myself again. Type of thing.
Too much comforts for him to change anything. Everything was so plush for him that the daughter was kind of.
I'm good at doing my job and providing, so that's all I'm going to do.
And that goes back to kind of what Vaz talked about last week, though, on the podcast was. Like, even culturally, like, what is the expectation of a father there? It's like maybe there's people who are like, yeah, darn right, he's doing a great job. He's providing the very best for his kid.
Like, he got her 2 Wiis or
That's
whatever
right.
it was,
Yeah, she has 2 Wiis now.
Honorable.
Yeah, right. In my
so
head, I'm thinking to myself, because sometimes our parents aren't much different, and our upbringing is not much different from some of this, in that there's expectations put on us that we either reject or we own it and we say, yeah, that is part of being a good dad. And thankfully, we haven't had to. And in different ways, we sacrifice, but not to the point of these characters. I think we have to prove it different ways, though, every day, though.
Mm-hmm. We'll see when the zombie apocalypse comes.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Right.
I mean, and it wasn't just the father characters that had this idea of sacrifice. It was kind of this. I feel prevailing theme throughout the movie as sacrifice in terms of work together as one or act out of selfishness. And sometimes that meant sacrificing things in both ways too. Is how do you sacrifice yourself? Do you sacrifice yourself because you're like the businessman, sacrificing other people?
Oh yeah. Cheapers.
Or is it, with the two older ladies, where the one lady sacrifices all of them to let our main characters move forward. So it was like a prevailing theme, I thought, throughout the whole movie was, this idea of sacrifice and why, like, in what context are you doing the sacrificing, and for who. So I thought it was pretty interesting that there's a lot of different situations that come up in the movie where, well, the only way through is to sacrifice this person or sacrifice yourself, or So I thought it was pretty interesting. It came up quite a bit leading up to the last sacrifice of our main character.
Yeah, they were put in choices where like someone could survive, you could save yourself, you could try to hold off and then let the other people go, and and the people's character shows up. Their character shows up in those moments.
What a cool thing to do in such a high-paced movie too. Instead of like a long series like The Walking Dead or other series, where you could let it fester a little bit, let it breathe a little bit. You had to do it right away. You had to establish that he's got a choice to make, and there's going to be something or someone sacrificed. You got to make that choice now, because then the next thing is there. The next thing is ready.
And this movie, I mean, it critiqued fathers pretty hard, but I thought it did a pretty good job of highlighting or lowlighting, I guess, different parts of society. So you had the elderly with the two women, and kind of showing how the elderly are ignored. In the beginning when they all get on the train, our main character sits down, has his daughter sit down, and his daughter gives up her seat for the elderly woman, I believe. So it was kind of like no one else really paid attention except the old and the young.
Yeah.
And those demographics are being ignored in this case. And then you had like the baseball team. So that kind of, sports centric, push ultra competitiveness on the young and the teens, like that aspect of someone's culture. And you had the businessmen, of course. So like it kind of touched on a lot of different parts of society that maybe should be sacrificed for the newer generation. And I'll kind of circle back to that in a bit.
You also had two stowaways that show up at the same time, and you get one is a homeless guy, and the other one is an infected woman. And the homeless guy gets everyone's attention. Gets the conductors, gets the guy collecting tickets, even the little girl. They're all in this room worried about the homeless guy. And no one noticed the spazzing out, soon-to-be zombie. And then she even walks past the baseball team.
Right, that's right.
Just kind of like, it's not really our place to... Which I understand it may be more, prominent in their culture. Where it's like, it's not a you see something, say something culture. But... Okay, he's getting all the attention, and
right?
He's,
So I've got I called them the ghosts of Christmas past and future in here. I kind of watched it through this lens because I've watched the movie before, but there are two characters that stuck out because they're kind of parallel to our main character. So we've touched base on both of them. The one is the Christmas past. The ghost of Christmas past is the soon-to-be father. That's, here's what it was like when your daughter isn't even born yet, and there's excitement and there's a sense of like taking on fatherhood and responsibility, and being there with the mother and doing it together. And then you have the ghost of Christmas future, the dark side, and that's, the businessman that's sacrificing everyone else so he can survive. And that's kind of like hey, if you don't change your ways, here's what you're going to become.
Yeah.
And, so our main character is shown by example from the ghost of Christmas past. That's what I'm going to call him. I don't ever remember his name. The guy in the blue suit.
Sang-Hua.
I'll trust you on that.
Just point at me when you need the name set.
But he's shown the example of how to be more of a father, like I assume that he had been in the past. And even in the train when they're fighting to get to their loved ones, that guy says, okay, I'll be in the front, you follow me, like follow my example, like almost literally follow my example here. and showing our main character reminding him what it is to be that figure. So yeah, it was pretty interesting to watch it through both those, or through that new lens of, okay, Christmas past, Christmas future, you don't change your ways, you end up like this, and reminding you, hey, you do have it in you to be like this again, to be a father again.
That's pretty cool.
I feel like he was also like the soon-to-be father was the standard, kind of like reminding him what the standard is. And you can see that even with his pregnant, well, I'm assuming wife, kind of, giving him a light tap, like, hey, you should be doing this, or, why aren't you doing that? Kind of reminding him, kind of keeping both of their standards up to par. Mm-hmm. So if he's slacking, she's there to remind him, hey, you're responsible for this. So I thought that was pretty interesting to have that comparison to our main character that doesn't have anyone to bounce things off of and is just kind of led to be his own judge, which he is not very good at.
He's not too critical of himself.
Right. And that guy tries to call him out too. Like, hey, I at least deserve an apology. Like, grabs him by the collar.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. And
like, he was trying to keep him honest too.
Mm-hmm. And I'm reminded of, when with the Ghost of Christmas Future, you're looking into, okay, here, if I don't change, here's how I end up. And it's years of being in the same routine and just getting further and further away from redemption. And so we see that with the older businessman. And he's even turning into a zombie at the end. He's like, hey, what's going on with me here?
Yeah.
Like, not even recognizing that he is the bad guy. And like our main character even points out, I don't know if he says it verbatim, but he's like, hey, you're a zombie.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's like, okay, yeah, I'm a zombie here. I'm coming for you.
So and I do zombie things.
That's where it kind of stayed in line with what I thought, because it was this character that just thought he was the main, he's the main character type of, the young people say that, I feel like.
Gives off main character vibes.
He's the main character in the story, but
I'm him. God.
We're old. But yeah, so for him to be so confused that, oh, I'm the bad guy? Like, what's going on here? This isn't right. Like, so I thought that kind of put a highlighter over the idea that, he's here to remind our main character, if you don't change, this is what you end up as.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on either of those two, the young father or the...
So I remember the one scene, they were talking to the homeless man, and the old guy, the Ghost of Christmas Future, says, if you don't stay in school, you'll end up like this guy.
Yeah. I
And
remember
the
that.
daughter was like, my mom says only bad people say that, or something. And he said, oh, she must not have spent time in school either, or something like that. It's retort to her.
I loved, again, the pacing and usually the genre doesn't afford these kind of lessons along the way. And it's kind of cool that we're even talking about a film that's a critical film that is discussing something as deep as fatherhood can be and redemption in a zombie movie. To me, it just reeks of great filmmaking. And I never would have watched this. I don't know why it slipped by, but I've heard people talk about it because I like zombie movies. I don't like scary movies. It's weird, guys. I don't like scary movies at all. But I love zombie movies and monster movies.
I think, to me, because zombie movies, even monster movies, they have a lot of subtext and allegory to them. It's just, and subconsciously, it is appealing to you, but it just takes enduring what you're, what the other senses are feeling, from seeing a horror movie.
Sometimes.
So I feel like that could be part of it, where like you're drawn to what could be, what could be found in this. in this story.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up because I was trying to think this week, kind of preparing a little bit for this discussion. I was trying to think if there's any like horror movies, like not just zombie or monster movies, like horror movies that have that I've seen. And I don't have a lot of them that I've seen, but I'm sure you could probably even name some that have lessons and things like that in there and in depth. And if something's evil or like overly slasher, I'm out. There's too much of that in reality, so it's like I'll sit that out. But I think of movies where there's lessons, there's nice lessons, and people are, it's hard. I don't know. I didn't expect it so much because I don't see it in zombie movies, right? But it leads me to the question: do you have those kind of stories in horror movies? And anyway, that's the question for a few months from now. I know that.
Ooh, I can't wait to answer this in a few months.
Yeah. October will be. Is we just doing horror movies in October?
Yeah. So the whole month of October will be. I think we have 2 discussions in there, but I also think it's one of those 5 weekers. Those 5
one of those months with 5
yeah.
weeks in it. 5 Tuesdays.
Yeah, 5 of something. 5 of Wednesday maybe.
Let's see. 5 Tuesdays. 5 Tuesdays and 5 Wednesdays, but.
So yeah, it'll be
5 Tuesdays.
I think there's like I think I have it planned for 2 discussions and then 3 different movies.
Nice.
And I'm not throwing anything in there that's like arbitrary. Like, all right, let's scare Chris as much as we can.
Thank God.
But there are movies that have a lot to them, and I think the theme for that month is actually, one of the discussions is how versatile the horror genre is. Grief is going to be one of the things that we talk about. So I'm still narrowing down what we watch, but they're all movies that have a lot to them.
I can't wait. I said that with one foot out the door. I can't wait with one foot out the door and my light on as I go up Black Nose Spring Road.
I can't wait to resign.
This has been KMax.
On September 30th.
We'll watch them in the daylight.
It's been a heck of a run.
But zombie movies, even from the start with George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, had so much to say with its main character. That's a whole other discussion right there to dive into that movie. But it's so easy for zombie movies to talk about society, to have a social commentary, because you can include little snippets of different parts of society in your movie and what you want them to represent. So me and James were just talking on Saturday about the old Dawn of the Dead. I think it's that one where they're in the mall.
Ving Rhames?
The
older one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Romero's.
I've seen that.
So, like, the idea that, consumerism, the zombies, they're at this mall just brain dead, So, that movie we could dive into that movie, too. But
yeah.
There's zombie movies and The Walking Dead, the show, like, it's such a great transport to say what you want to say about society, fatherhood,
like the prison system even, and just
there you go,
corruption in government.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you guys have a favorite scene in the movie?
That's a good question.
Oh, I liked. I don't know if it's my favorite scene, but I do like a little twist where they get to the one train stop, and everyone's exiting. Like, the military is going to be here, trying to get a hold of the guy on the phone, and everyone's going down the downward escalators.
Oh.
You can see the military fatigues. You can see their pants and boots. They're right there. And as they get closer and closer, you realize they're all zombies. And they're like, turn around.
It had such a reaction on James. I remember watching it. I don't see him flinch ever in life, in movies, and ever. I don't see this. He's a Tin Man, for God's sake. Then I see him go, oh man.
Like, oh no.
They gotta go up the stairs.
Yeah. Go up the downstairs.
I remember getting so mad. Every scene that the rich old businessman was in, I just remember getting mad saying, oh, you idiot. They let him get by. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, of course he's gonna escape. Of course he's gonna push the guy in front of him, and of course he's gonna. And then at the end, it's Fat Buck gets on the main train, getting out of there, and I'm like, of course he's gonna be the last boss to beat. And I was just so mad.
And it's funny to have that perception too, because literally all he's trying to do is live.
Yeah, that's true. No, right? Seriously, he's doing everything he can to live. I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you?
He steps over the conductor.
Yeah.
Like, who just got the train running.
Yes.
Come on, I'll help you. Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, just so manipulative. I think that's the scene that sticks with me the most is they're in the bathroom and he's like, go see. He goes and he pushes him. I remember just saying, oh, you bastard. I was just so mad at him. I'm like, how dare you?
I think I even started laughing when he was like, you go look.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And he like a fullback, like a tailback following the fullback, just pushed him around the backside and off he went. Good gravy. Such an aggressive zombie, though. I don't know what it says, but you get the slow-moving zombies. Those terrify me more. They always have. Mm-hmm. But these fast ones, they have a whole different level of.
And they made them move really erratically and abnormally.
Yeah, that's the thing, abnormally.
Yeah,
that's right.
Just outside of what can be seen as usual. And
That's
it's
right.
Just outside the usual. It's like if you ever see the show Attack on Titan, how the Titans move, it's just odd. It's just abnormal enough where it's creepy.
Even from the
Just
first deer,
outside
the first deer that gets hit,
Yeah.
and then it stands up, and it's just a little bit off. Mm-hmm. It looks so normal, and it's just a little bit off. And just seeing that, I had goosebumps. Like, oh boy. Then after that, you see, as they turn.
That was cool. And it was kind of neat where you get bit and. It's like, oh, you got like 30 seconds. You've got to
say
your affairs
something.
in order. You got 30 seconds.
That's a risky game. I remember the picture. One of the films that did that best, and I'm getting off track here, was World War Z when he with the little bear that talks and counts 1, 2 on World War Z, and then Brad Pitt does it. And he remembers the timing when he thinks he might have got bit, or when that stuff was in his face, when he's up there on the ledge waiting to jump, like counting. And then he counts, he remembers the cadence of that bear, that little toy that had the little alarm going off in it.
Yeah.
And he was like, do I jump? Do I not? And I thought the guy, the main protagonist in this, he waited a little bit long. I'm like, you're carrying on a little, you might want to get to the back of the train a little faster than that.
You can't see, but your eyes are totally white.
I know there's nobody to tell you what's happening. Like you told the ghost of Christmas.
Yeah.
You're turning, buddy.
Yeah.
KMax, what was your favorite scene?
Jeepers. I'm a sucker for the payoff, and at the end when they're about to dust
the song.
When they're about to dust the mom, like his fingers on that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know guns as well as others, but I know this: there is sometimes some play in some triggers. You can squeeze to a point, and it won't discharge, but you get to that point, there's no going back. And she was in the crosshairs. And that soldier had orders to kill. And until they hear the song. And what a beautiful song. And it brought tears instantly to my eyes because she's singing it now because, she's singing it for her dad. And so she's singing it. And he doesn't, that's their confirmation that they're not infected.
Right.
And it was heavy and wonderful. And it brought back, this is great filmmaking again. It brought back all the memories of, I saw 5 or 6 scenes, him not being there, them watching the video, him saying, why did you freeze up? Why? What did he say? Oh, it's important to either, what did he say? Don't quit if you start something, follow it through, or don't try it at all type of thing. He almost gave like this, almost like a hard parenting lesson.
There is no try, only do.
Right. and the guy's probably never given a parenting lesson in his life. And yet he's gonna correct his little girl on, why didn't you sing? Why'd you freeze up there? He's like telling her that, and it's kind of neat how it came all the way around, and she's singing that beautiful song at that scene. Anytime there's like hope in a zombie movie, I always think maybe it's a fleeting hope, but that's the hope that they have in that world right now.
Right.
And to know that it seemed pretty secure over there. and they were going to make it. That's a nice feeling in zombie. And that's maybe my main argument with The Walking Dead and why I stopped watching after a certain amount of seasons. I'm like, there's got to be a home base of some sort. There's got to be some hope there. Otherwise,
what are you trying to return to? What are you trying to recreate?
That's right. That's right. Because otherwise, you're just treading water. And some would say that's all we're ever doing anyway. But anyway, I digress. That was my favorite scene, that end, that little girl singing, and how close. The video shows so close that it just dwells on that trigger. And it shows them squeezing almost a quarter of the way. You know? Mm-hmm. And you get to that point, man, it could go either way. It's a razor's edge.
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of a callback to Night of the Living Dead as well. I don't know if you remember the ending to that, but it was, our main character was, I think he was trying to escape through. Oh no, he went to go look through the window.
He makes it through the night.
Yeah, he makes it through all the chaos of the zombies, and he like goes to the window where he's shot dead by.
He's like, "There's one."
Some ragtag group that's been killing zombies in the night, and they're like, "All right, take a picture," So
yeah,
I feel like it kind of felt like a callback to that. It just depends on if that person shoots or not, or has the sense to see if they're a bad guy or a zombie.
That was a good payoff, though. That was solid.
The fact that the young dad's offspring's going to live on, and the redeemed dad, his offspring's going to live on too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So it's
anything interesting about the song?
I'll get there. It's going to come in a bombshell, I think. Well, I kind of mentioned it to James. I apologize, KMax, but it's going to come as like a bombshell when I reveal a perception I got watching it, but I didn't want to believe it.
Oh, wow.
But, so my favorite scene, I feel like it's tough to narrow it down because the pace is so quick. It rarely dwells on one set piece before moving forward. I don't know, there's a few of them. The comedic piece between the young father and the main character. Oh, excuse me. The main character when and he's like, "Oh, I think you owe me an apology." Or he says something. He makes a couple other jokes I can't remember, but it was like a nice for the audience.
Yeah,
like, "Oh, okay."
Reprieve from he was like, "Oh, hey." You're like, that's like, it's just like I'm reading the subtitles. Like, oh, that's just his name, I guess.
But I guess what I liked is like the repeated callbacks though to that test was in the beginning the
gun test. Whatever.
No, he tried to close the door on the young father, and the young father got through.
Yeah.
And then that's repeated throughout the movie. The idea that holding the door open or closing it.
Yes.
So that test of do I try to save these people or do I sacrifice them along with the others? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And then I guess that sacrifice from the young father or the soon-to-be father that goes to Christmas Past, that he held that door as long as he could before that zombie bit him. So I feel like it was another callback because our main character had the fortitude to try and shut the door.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy couldn't do. So it's kind of like a weird, maybe there is a balance between providing in the way that our main character was and having that instinct, to live for yourself, as opposed to this father, who we all agree he was the better role model, but because of what was going on and trying to save everyone, couldn't close the door in time. So I think that was one of my favorites.
It's definitely a good balance if that's the case. If that's kudos to them again if they were actually trying to paint that, which would be cool.
Or if they were trying to say that everyone should be acting like this guy, and so many more people would have survived.
Yeah.
If everyone's had their standards set the same as this guy, how many more people could have, made it through?
Mm-hmm. And he handled it too with like a little bit of humor too.
Maybe
Maybe a lesson in there too that he handled it with
with class.
with class and humor, and
Yep.
and he unapologetically advocated for his wife and unborn kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that this is my family here. This is what we're doing. You know, and then he did it. He was almost like, I'm glad he wasn't just comic relief, because at first I thought, oh, this bigger guy, you know, he's gonna say some one-liners, but he ended up being maybe most, if not all, but there's a lot of wisdom that came from him throughout the movie.
The Aloha song. Watching the movie, it became... So this is my perception of it, okay? So the zombies taking over are eliminating everything that seems to be wrong with this society or this culture that needs to be reset. You know, how... If we were to redo our society, what should we cut out? What should we focus on? So, you know, I pointed out you had kind of symbols of aspects of a society, you know, the sports and the elderly and the business that were all being chomped away. The sacrifice that the elderly sister makes to get rid of their own car, so that there's only 3 of them left, I think, at this point, that were in the car ahead of them, right? It was 5, right? You had our main character, his daughter, the pregnant woman, and then the young couple, I believe.
The baseball player and
The
the
baseball player
Right.
and the girl.
Was there anyone
quasi
else?
cheerleader girl.
Yeah. Or was she gone by then?
No, they were
she was still
together.
in the main.
Yeah. So when she eliminated their cart, it became more apparent then, like, okay, these are the things that need to go, or at least be reevaluated, right?
Okay.
In society. Then our main character gets infected. And I thought, maybe this isn't the perception I thought it was. Maybe it's just characters being eaten by zombies. I don't know. But it seemed to be that everything that was good was surviving. You know, all the good people were getting through, with the exception of our young soon-to-be father, which I thought his contribution moved forward, is how I felt about that. So, but that was also a red flag. I was like, maybe, you know, I'm not sure if I'm reading this right, or how this perception is going to come about. But then our main character gets infected, and, you know, he ends up succumbing to the zombie apocalypse, and you get this tunnel that, to me, it's almost like a funnel. You know, you had just the image of all these trains coming to one tunnel, and you know, it felt like funneling. You know, you're filtering out everything that shouldn't go through this tunnel doesn't go through. The things that go through are supposed to go through. You know, filter, funnel type of imagery. That Aloha song comes on, and it's a callback to earlier. You know, you think, okay, well, she's remembering her father, and now she can finally finish the song because she senses that he learned how to be there for her, and he was there for her when she needed him the most. So that, you know, on the surface, that's what I thought at the time, and they end up surviving. And so my initial thought was that, is this filmmaker saying to us that the best way to move, you know, the best chance we got is to just start all over. We focus on the women and the children because that's all who survived. And you think about the future when you think about kids. There's a pregnant woman that has yet to give birth. So it's kind of like this idea that it's for the future. It's how we grow forward, how we continue our society and our culture moving forward. When I see that just those two survive, my first thought is that how we move forward? Is we start fresh with just focusing on the women and children and those needs and raising them correctly? Is that what we do? But then I thought, no, because they killed off they killed off the fathers, they killed off the other father, they killed off everyone else. So how could that be? And so I kind of had that thought lingering in my thoughts of this movie. That's how it felt to me when I first watched it, and again when I watched it with you guys. And I was like, I don't know if there's enough to that. But then I looked into what the Aloha A? Away? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That song, it's a farewell song. Mm-hmm. So when I see it as a farewell song, she's saying goodbye to her father, like goodbye to, like, yes, you are outside of the funnel. You did get filtered through. Or I'm sorry, you got stuck in the filter. You are not moving through with us. Kind of like that's her farewell. It's like, okay, in order for me to move forward, I have to say goodbye to you. So it's growing on me that the message could be something so big that, it's, fathers are just, or men and father figures are just terrible, and they try, but their best place is to sacrifice themselves and in whatever way they have to, so that the daughter can move forward. So it's I'm toying with it. I feel like I'd still have to watch the movie again to see if there's more that supports that dramatic of a message.
Yeah.
But what are your initial thoughts at that interpretation?
I think it's super interesting that the depth that you, not just you, but others can see in a film that I don't automatically see, right? I just see like a very surface area of a film. And even when I try to do a deep dive on it, I think it's just a matter of time. I got to watch it more because I would like to try to understand films that way. But it's neat to see the hidden depth in movies that I don't normally see. And I think that's what kind of draws me to these conversations, because it's definitely a blind spot for me all the time. Like, we'll watch a movie and I'm like, that's good, man. That's really good. And then someone will tell me, hey, did you notice that? And like, in my head, my first reaction is no. Then after I watch it again, I'm like, or when I listen to them talk, I'm like, holy cats, yeah. And that improves my enjoyment of it, right? That's kind of almost the theme of this whole season with me, is I'm kind of learning how to be a little more critical and just watch it for a little bit more than just what's on the surface. Even though I've committed 52 years of watching things just to enjoy it from the surface level, sometimes I don't want to see the deeper meaning in things. This is just almost like a life thing for me. I just want to take it at face value. This is it, and this is what it is. And sometimes it's hard to dig a little deeper. Because if you do, sometimes you get uncomfortable truths or uncomfortable lessons. And that would be an uncomfortable lesson indeed. That I'm just here for that purpose. But there can be a tie-in also. Like it's not a foreign ideal. It's not a foreign ideal even to my belief system, like faith-wise. Like in a marriage or in a relationship, or we're told to love like Christ loves, right? And I'm not trying to get preachy, but I'm just trying to bring it to like a level of my level is a sacrificial love. It's the idea of it. It's like there's actually a Greek term for it, and it's a sacrificial love. It's not like a romantic love or an agape love that you have for friends. It's a sacrificial love. And a lot of times when they talk about Christ's love, it's like that sacrificial love. And when doing a wedding ceremony, you tell people that you love sacrificially, especially the husband is the head of the household. You're supposed to love as Christ loved the church, type of a thing. So it's like you're told right there that he loved it and he gave himself for it. Like, oh wait, that is all sacrifice right there. So, it can't be too far off the beaten path for me to wrap my head around, and yet I don't want to admit that might be the role that the demise that we have. And you think about it though, even like in protecting the house, who goes out? You hear a noise, you go, and I know in our situation we all might be a little different, but it's me who goes out and there's a noise downstairs and the light goes on and the dogs are going crazy. It's me going out there. I'm probably the least capable in my household to go out there. And yet automatically it's what I do. And there's usually a fear there. I'm a big coward. But if it's something that's potentially endangering my family, there's no fear at all. This is what I got to do. If that's a big lesson, I get it. It's not something that I want. I want to believe there's more to me than just being you're the fodder to get us through here. We're going to push you into the zombies, Dad, so that we can, or even like, what was the one movie, it was like one of the earthquake ones where there's the guy that he jumps into the lava standing there and he pushes the kid over to get to the safety, like that type of thing.
That Dante's Peak.
I think it was one of those.
Well, I think that's Volcano because I just watched it.
It's on the subway.
Yeah.
He jumps off the subway and
It's,
it just starts.
It's like,
melting
I
slowly.
can do
killer
this.
saves the person.
This is my role. I'm like, it's got to be more.
But there's a conversation between our main character, and the Ghost of Christmas Past, where the ghost says, one day they'll understand our sacrifice or something along those lines.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that supported my thought that, like even this guy who's our standard of fatherhood, or pre-fatherhood, is saying, "Oh yeah, we're good. We'll sacrifice ourselves. Don't worry about it."
I remember him saying. I remember that line when he said that, and it did stick with me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, someday they'll understand our sacrifices.
Right.
It's like a we now, not like you do your thing your way. I'm going to do it the right way.
Right. Yeah. He lumped them in like, oh yes, we are fathers.
Yeah.
Like he had no context about, he forgot his own daughter's birthday.
Right.
Like, oh no, we're all fathers and we're all going to do some sacrificing here.
It might be a cultural thing too, where they're like, this is what real men, or this is what this is the standard where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And brings honor to your family.
Mm-hmm.
And this
that filial piety or whatever it's called. In that culture, it's like there's a piousness that comes with, I do what I need to do for my family. Mm-hmm. And you don't. Therefore, I'm superior.
Yep, you're less.
I do the
right.
Yeah, I do the right thing, and it's honor, and there's honor in the way I do this.
Yeah.
Tin Man, any thoughts on if that theory could have any validity about, like the...
why those two survived? Why specifically that it was the pregnant woman and the small child?
Right, versus and then having the fathers kind of being lumped into the group that needs to be reevaluated.
I see the movie as being like, you have guys who are willing to, and women, but you have people who are willing to sacrifice to help others, and you have others who are willing to sacrifice, whoever's around them for their own survival. And that's where it causes problems. That's where good people who have held the door for someone else isn't getting held for them and they die. And once again, like Chris, I don't analyze the movies to that depth sometimes. And sometimes the movies, I really enjoy a movie sometimes at its face value, and then going deeper, like... Sometimes it makes it like, oh my gosh, that made this movie even more awesome, knowing that there was this backstory that kind of led all this together. But I don't know if I want to dig any deeper. I don't want to say that. I'm willing to hear as far as you want to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Tin Man.
But I think that when I think about that again, like when they get through, I think it can also be just a plain old function of society that what's going to sell? Well, we got to let the guy's got to be the hero, and they got to give themselves.
If they die, they're going to die. But how they die,
is
what matters. Is it going to be with honor, or not.
Right.
I don't
Like
know.
this one was interesting too, because in both instances they were gonna die, like they were bit, so at that point they have no choice.
Yeah.
That's either they just become a zombie or they can do something
Right.
to help before they become part of the problem.
Yeah, like the last guy's like, I'm a zombie now. I just bite the main character.
And then the hero was like, he was explaining to them how to stop the train when they get there. When he was bit, he was explaining to them, here's what you need to
there's
do.
a lever for the brakes.
Yeah. I remember thinking that. That was smart.
I like when the older businessman is like powering down when he's like, "You're a zombie." He's like, "I was just learning to love."
I almost knocked the whole thing over.
That was a Simpsons reference.
As Steve Carell, The Office.
Oh my gosh. That was a sweet payoff, though, to have the bad guy actually turning and actually, whoa! I'm realizing that I'm turning into a zombie. I'm like, that's right, you
Like
are.
conscious.
Yes.
Of,
He was
that
calling
is
for his mom
bad.
too. I think.
Yeah,
There's
that's
one
right.
point where he's calling
And that was
his
one
mother.
of the other things that made me think that he's the ghost of Christmas Future, was that his own problem mirrors, or his own living situation mirrors our main character. Like he lives with his mom, or vice versa, either way.
Right, where there's nobody else in his life.
Right,
except
and
for-
that's it. And like, you can see that with our main character, he's taking his daughter to go with her mom on her birthday, leaving him alone. You could see in the
Right.
future it would just be him and his own mom.
Ah,
Some real, I mean, again, depth perception makes perfect sense. Again, I'm always shocked every episode that I'm like, oh, I get it now. At least I think I see it every time.
Well, and it's everyone's own perception though. So I might be digging up, holes that don't have any actual treasure in them here, but as the way that I'm perceiving what the filmmaker's telling me, not just.
we're also not trying to pick movies like the SpongeBob movie, to analyze.
Although sometimes, I've said it before, horror is one of the most versatile genres. So, I mentioned slashers being a slice of
Yeah, Sleepaway Camp. You're into Sleepaway Camp.
social history. Like, okay, you look at like the Final Destination movies. Okay, you can see it's a period piece from the late 90s. Here's what they look like. Here's what was important to them.
You get those other horror movies that, okay, these are late 70s teenagers being naughty. Here's what they look like.
Right.
This is their rock and roll music, and this is the kind of midriff jeans they wear.
And because it's funny, because like those movies are meant to get quick money. So how do I get the general public to give me money? I know, I'll show them X, Y, and Z, and that turns out to be
Cool
slashing
cars,
killers,
Breasts.
breasts,
convertibles. I was in a convertible.
Did I
Somewhere.
mention
cool
breasts?
teenagers or young people.
Young people being cool,
So like
and people getting what they deserved.
just in its existence, it's a social commentary. Like we're throwing money at this, like this, franchise, like Friday the 13th, 10, 11, 12, 13 different movies.
Yeah.
And it's because they're successful, and here's why. It's so just in existing, they're important. So tying up, so this movie was our critique of fatherhood. Do you think it lived up to it compared to how we broke down motherhood?
Okay, so the fathers actually had to try to pull together some redeeming qualities. So their children could survive.
Yes, granted, it's a very different situation.
That than Holly, who just gets awful and gets her kid taken away.
Well, I mean, we kind of see some motherhood in this movie, though, with the soon-to-be mother. But I don't know if it's cultural or whatever, but, you know, she just kind of coasts.
Yeah, she doesn't move the plot one way or another, it doesn't seem like. She's there as protected party.
Yeah, she's like the treasure you got to move while you're also escaping
Yeah.
pirates.
Right.
That's really good. She's like the treasure you got to move along.
She's the booty.
She's
man.
the beating heart from Dead Man's chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a jar of dirt.
Super interesting. I mean, the commentary on fatherhood, you got a couple of good examples. You get the guy learning the lessons. And again, doing it amazingly inside a fast-paced zombie movie. Blew my mind. That was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, it would pause just enough to give you another idea, and then move forward again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like there was 2 movies. How do we keep the zombie portion fresh and moving? So you had those scenes where went through the tunnels and they froze.
Yeah.
You know, where they had to climb over the
That was cool.
luggage.
Yeah.
That reminded me. So, you know, with the idea that you're bringing your social issues to light I thought was pretty neat. That might actually be my favorite scene, because I remember thinking that when they went through the dark tunnel and they just stopped moving, because the idea that you know, everything represents something that you want to reevaluate in your society. And so very like on the nose, like, oh yeah, so they're bringing to light the things you want to change. So it makes sense that they're only active when there's light. So like I thought that was pretty neat as I was watching it. Like, oh yeah, makes sense, because you're trying to show everyone, you're putting a spotlight on everything that you want to change, and so it only makes sense that the zombies show you it in the light.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Any?
I concur.
Now, where does this? How do you like this one compared to other zombie movies? Because I feel pretty confident that you guys have seen a good portion of zombie movies. Where does this one kind of line up against other ones that you've seen? Like, did it kind of shoot up towards the top, or what other zombie movies do you feel like are tier 0?
Top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Top tier. I'm trying to think of all of them now.
I look at them as what I enjoy, right? So what I enjoy in a zombie movie, I like it to be as real as possible. Like how, again, right, zombies. But it's like, how likely is this to ever happen? Again, it's a zombie movie, right? So like, this is right up there. And then I like the way that it like lets you know enough about how it happened, just pretty much by having a little bit of conversations and a little bit of the newscast when it starts. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're hitting the deer and then seeing the deer reanimate. So you get a little sneak peek at how it all gets going. And then they're trying to go, and you can almost see it coming. They're not trying to keep it a secret what's on its way. And then the sick girl gets on the train. And it's like, okay, this is where all hell breaks loose. I enjoyed the depth that came with this movie. But I still have to say that as far as zombies go, the creeping, inevitable death, the creeping horror that just in numbers and plain overwhelming you is still the most terrifying for me. So like the original Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm. The ones you can get around with your running fast, but you get cornered and you're like, oh no.
And they
surrounded me.
Yeah, it's just their numbers and their insatiable appetite, and they don't even have, you can't reason with them. It's like, that's the commentary that I think of when I think of zombies. I'm like, it's the feeling of inevitability. it's not the fast or the speed. It's not even the It's the I don't have any. You can't be reasoned with, and I have single purpose to kill you. Mm-hmm. That's my single purpose. And I'm not even I don't even know how to function. I don't even know how to do things. But I know this: I'm gonna get you, and it's eventual. I'm gonna kill parts of your party off, and then I'm gonna eventually get to you. Mm-hmm. Every one of my nightmares end like that. It doesn't even have to be a zombie, but everybody gets picked off, and then the people that I trust most are left with me, and then the end of it, if I make it that long, they turn, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? And wake up, it's like, oh great, nice nightmare. Then some I like to just be entertained, like Zombieland. That's up there for me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you got the rules, which is fun, because almost every...
Opens with Metallica's From the Bell Tolls.
That's right.
That slow motion.
Yes.
Wow.
And then everybody... thing is, it's kind of fun. It's almost like what Max... Spaceballs guy. Max Brooks, the idea of World War Z. I love his whole mythology that he creates about it. Like, these are the rules, and this is how it is, and here's how we thought it would be, and here's how it is, and here's how you fight them, and here... I thought that was kind of genius. In its own right, and then the Hollywood take on it. They tried that movie a couple times, and the way that Brad Pitt and their company came up with it was pretty neat too. I like the way it turned out.
It was neat. It was,
and I wish they had more where like the actual war. They showed like almost like the outro showed the war happening. Yeah. I wanted to see more of the war.
To see like the where I think it was in New York. And it was in the book where it takes place in New York, where they have everybody mic'd up and everybody like fancy gear. We're going to fight the zombies at the bridge or whatever.
Yes.
And everything goes awry because they're like blowing them up, but they're still crawling.
Yes.
And you can hear people screaming. And,
yes.
And everything falls apart. Like, because in the book, it's the narrator goes to different parts of the world and then you hear the survivors' stories.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that'd be cool if that was the narrator and was, Brad Pitt going to other stories and then hearing their...
I'm telling you.
That could have been such an awesome...
I think that too.
That was, yeah.
I almost feel like that's more of a story, almost like Interview with a Vampire, like a series of little novellas. Like each person he visits, he gets their take on it, and then there's a little film or a little movie about that.
Yeah.
But it ranks right up there. Yeah. I automatically said, after I watched it, I got to reshuffle. We used to have a zombie club at school, a book club. And it was for struggling readers who liked Walking Dead, the show. And so I said, guys, you want to do like a book club? So we end up doing, principal let us. We had their parents sign off on it, the kind of literature. And they would pick graphic novels or they would get
Walking Dead graphic novel is wild,
and they would even get like they could suggest an episode of Walking Dead or 30 minutes of a movie, and we would discuss it and talk about it. And I just think of myself, if that group was still together right now, this would be a cool one to discuss because all the lessons you could teach with it. Well, anyway,
so if I were to pick like movies at the top tier, I do like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I still love that one. Opens up with the Johnny Cash playing. I don't know how it relates in commentary and if we're gonna pick it apart and stuff. I just enjoyed the movie, and I think Shaun of the Dead might be one of my favorite zombie movies too.
So many, I mean, I feel like we could do one of the breakdowns on that because there's just so many callbacks and good writing and yes, indeed, messages in that movie. You had we talked about. What's the gun?
The Winchester? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the reference that you're talking about?
Yeah.
The gun that you see and it's supposed to... It should show back up.
Yeah, if you show a gun, it needs to come back and it needs to fire.
Yeah.
So like
they literally have that gun.
For some reason, I got Pavlov's dog stuck in my head somewhere. It's Pavlov's gun.
It's in one of our earlier episodes. If one of our listeners could,
I think what is that? Episode 1, maybe. I don't know.
We'll take call-ins next week. One of the listeners could just remind us what that's called.
No, it's bothering me. I gotta look it up.
I love our threshold for when we got to go to the phone. All three of us have it. It's a different number on different topics. The threshold of I gotta go check this out.
I know watching the movie, I kept going to the IMDb, and I'm just like, wait, hold on, what's this character's name?
I saw you. I saw you.
Wait, hold on, what's this thing again? Okay. When was this written?
I generally do that in these podcasts, but I just think to myself, I'm gonna cause more problems by pronouncing something horribly wrong than I'm going to by
just give them nicknames.
yeah, impressing. Yeah, remember the big heavy guy,
like Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah,
right.
The Ghost of Christmas Future.
Don't you remember Monkey Shines? Remember him? Woo.
So I'm running into difficulties. Chekhov's gun. There it is. Chekhov's gun.
He's Russian. It was pretty close.
So Shaun of the Dead has plenty of that, where it's like it shows you something and it calls back, and indeed it does reference it again.
You've got red on you.
Yep. But I wanted to circle back when you said you like things for a surface level, like Zombieland, and I'd have to rewatch it, but I remember getting from the very first viewing, it was this guy struggling to address social norms, I guess. So like one of the first zombie he runs into is the girlfriend trying to, they're trying to get it on or whatever. Like that social anxiety right there kind of sets the stage for him interacting with other people and trying to fit into society. So like the zombies in that movie are all like the scary aspects of society that I don't want to go outside because I'm gonna have to interact with people. So like that's how
there's a clown coming from underneath the
Yeah.
bathroom stall.
Oh,
Yeah. So now I'm afraid of birthday parties and I stay away from those. I'm afraid to interact with people at the gas station. I have to give them money, so I stay away from those. And that's kind of like how the zombies felt in that.
And that's
movie
how he
to me.
survived.
Yeah.
And so like it's called Zombie Land. So like that's what to me it was all about. This guy trying to survive and deal with social situations and social norms, while having like this anxiety, this crippling anxiety or whatever he's got. Mm-hmm. So even this movie that you think is surface level zombie is, to me, has tons of.
And I remember
content.
how much I was moved when you kind of knew there was more to Woody Harrelson's character. You knew there was a bigger psychic wound there. There was a wound there that was deeper than his losing his dog.
Yeah.
Then when you see the scene where it was his child, and you're like, oh, of course it was.
Yep. And
And it just flipped him. Where, you know what I mean? It flipped him. And I remember thinking that in the movie. I'm like, don't go getting all deep on me. Because that's just, I almost like was getting mad about it. But I'm like, no, that's what makes it good. That's why I enjoyed it so much. But I didn't know that's why. There was some of that in there. There's a lot of that in there. Like, even they're calling them their place, their country, calling them their state.
They won't give you a name, yeah.
Yeah, they're calling them their state,
yeah.
and then it's like the whole idea of them going to Disney World, they're trying to get this place that none of them have been to. They're trying to get this piece in their childhood that it seems like none of them had, that they were trying to get to, And if they could just get there, it'd be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, any this looks like it's one of the shorter episodes in the series here, but any other closing remarks about Train to Busan?
Okay. There is a sequel or a prequel to this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Peninsula?
And have you seen that?
See it, I have it. But no, I haven't seen it.
It's like half your answers in movies.
Isn't that true? See it, I have it.
I do have it. I haven't watched it. But that's another Office reference for anyone. We will sprinkle those in quite a bit. I did hear that it's not quite up to the standard of Train to Busan. Is what I hear.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think I went through my how it compares to some of the zombie movies.
Right, right.
It's hard for me to have a zombie movie that I don't enjoy because there's so much you can dive into. But Shaun of the Dead is probably my top tier. You watch that over again and find something new. The comedy, it's still got horror in there. The gore, it's pleasing. Well, it appeals to all of your senses. while still having content to sift through. I don't know, technicalities here, but 28 days later.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And, just the idea of it being a virus and that it's right on the nose again, aggression in society. That's the issue. People acting more primal than cultured. So it's pretty on the nose, but just the way that it's shot and I don't know, I feel like that was a new wave of zombie horror when that one came out. It felt like.
I really like that one
That
too.
might have been the first intense running zombies. Was that like the?
I don't know if it was that or Dawn of the Dead, the remake. I don't know which one came first.
I think Dawn might have. It was 2004. The Crazies. That was a good one too.
Crazies. What's funny is
I like Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy
Olyphant fan.
Me, you, and the Prince of Wales were trying to come up with zombie
We were
stuff.
writing like a script type thing.
And I was like, no, that's been done. I came up with this whole story that was fresh.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Crazies came out. I was like, oh, it's that movie.
And it was also, Waylon wasn't, who was like on Lent from zombies. He was like, I spent too much time, so we wouldn't call them zombies. I think we called them Crazies.
That's funny.
And then when the movie came out, I was like, hey, you had the helicopter in yours too. Like,
Yeah, doggone it.
That happens so many times. I feel like I'm in like the Truman Show where I'm like, okay, where's the microphone? Kid stole my idea again. But yeah, I think Train to Busan it's probably right up there with them. But I feel like it could just be cultural difference where I'm not picking up certain things like, do I know how they perceive fathers, or do I know what they focus on in their society, or different symbols that could be used, like why was it a deer in the beginning, or is it that just an arbitrary thing? So I feel like just because of that barrier, I feel like I enjoy Shaun of the Dead or 28 Days Later a little bit more because I'm more accustomed to those cultures. But yeah. All right. So our next movie is Hook.
Oh.
And that's a big one. I feel like years ago I was talking with you, KMax, about watching that as a kid, like, when I was a kid, like, 5-6 years old, and just loving everything about, the music, the characters, the story. But then watching it as a father, being like, oh, wow, you really going for my jugular here with Robin Williams' character. So it's not, I mean, it's kind of a critique, yes, but it's kind of got its feet in both camps here, where it's a critique on fatherhood, but it definitely changes. You feel different watching it as a father, I feel like.
I don't think I've seen Hook as a father.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting then.
20 years ago.
I'd be down to try to watch it together if we could, if that happens.
Yeah. When's the last time you've watched Hook?
Gosh, seriously, at least 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was definitely still a dad because I remember watching with Annalise.
Okay. Should be a good one to dive into.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
This has been Depth Perception, and I guess we'll see you next time.